His Excellency Shri Chandrasekhar, Prime Minister of India,
May I now invite His Excellency Shri Chandrasekhar, Prime Minister of India, to deliver his address.
Mr. Chairman, Your Majesty, Excellency, friends, I am grateful to our gracious guests and particularly to our friend President Gayoom for the warm welcome and splendid hospitality extended to us. We are meeting here in Maldives, the abode of beauty and tranquility. I am sure the surrounding will have its soothing effect, and on the outcome of our common endeavor will be constructive and more purposeful. I am grateful to you, Mr. Chairman, and to all other heads of state and government gathered here to the prompt response to our request to postpone the summit by 2 days. This positive gesture indicates the spirit of cooperation that should prevail in our association. We are meeting in the Silver Jubilee year of the independence of Maldives. The Maldives has indeed made remarkable progress under the dynamic leadership of President Gayoom, and it is with a sense of justifiable pride that its people are celebrating its anniversary. We are happy to join the friendly people of Maldives in their rejoicing and renew to them our sincere good wishes to their continued progress and prosperity. SAARC came into being despite the problems, large and small, which have existed between the member countries. While these differences impose a certain discipline on our agenda, cooperation within the framework provided by SAARC should help to create a new climate by the resolution of these differences. Economic cooperation among the South Asian countries has its own logic and compulsions. The framers of the SAARC Charter therefore displayed foresight and wisdom in not making such cooperation contingent upon the solution of bilateral problems. Mr. Chairman, I shall like to emphasize, we are an area of poverty, squalor and misery. If we fight amongst each other, if we have the politics of confrontation, we shall not be able to fight against poverty, misery, squalor of our people. So our responsibility is to our people. It is not the mere formality that we are meeting here in order to exchange pleasantries, but we are concerned about the future of the people of this area, and this is our responsibility. Mr. Chairman, may I make a personal appeal to you under your leadership. As the chairman of the SAARC, a new era should start. SAARC meeting should not be just exchange of formalities, not a diplomatic formality, but we should address ourselves to the problems of the people, because mere diplomatic formalities are not going to bring a new hope, a new confidence, and new trust among the people of this area. This is your responsibility, Mr. Chairman, and I assure you, on behalf of India and Indian people and its government, that we shall extend all cooperation to you in this great endeavor if the formalities are changed into real purpose for understanding the problems of people and trying to solve them. The SAARC member countries are the poorest in the world. Almost 46% of the world's poor are located in South Asia. South Asian export continued 0.8% of the world total. The foreign exchange reserves of South Asian countries amount to 0.7% of global reserves. Most countries in the region have continuing trade and current account deficit and rising external debt and debt servicing burden. Our peoples have to contend with common basic needs, removal of illiteracy, eradication of disease, and ensuring the survival and healthy development of children. At the same time, the SAARC countries share formidable asset, a population of over 1 billion, the largest pool of skilled manpower, resources in the world, good infrastructure, and abundant natural resources. There is thus a sound basis for economic cooperation among the SAARC member countries. Mr. Chairman, the biggest asset of mankind is the manpower. We are in abundance in manpower. Nature has bestowed everything upon us. And your country, Mr. Chairman, is a living example. Nature has given fertile land, all the mineral resources, beautiful climate. Why should we not try to exploit the nature in the service of the man? And that can be done by getting the willing cooperation of our people, the toiling masses, the workers in the field and farm. And for that, you have to give a new lead through this organization to give a new confidence, a new hope to the toiling masses that their labor will bring a new life to their children, a joy to their faces. It will not be exploited for the chosen few, whether in their own country or outside the frontiers of their countries. Mr. Chairman, remarkable changes are taking place in the world. Competition for resources is increasing. Even the developed countries, in order to maintain their technological lead and competitive edge, are moving towards greater integration. A more unified European community, the US-Canada Common Market Agreement, the desire of the East European countries to join the West European economic mainstream, and the Constitution of APEC are all pointers in this direction. This provides both a lesson and a challenge to us, since increasing regional integration elsewhere would make it even more difficult for us to compete in the markets of developed countries and against their products in other markets. Thus, the contemporary world context itself demands intensified economic cooperation among the South Asian countries. Mr. Chairman, I don't want to say that we are competing with them in a spirit of jealousy or envy, but these are the hard realities of life. These regional imbalances, whether in the frontier of a country or in the world, are going to create problem for the whole world. If these regional balances continue, there can't be an enduring peace. There cannot be an understanding among the various nations of the world. This area in which you and I have the honor to live is the area of thousands of years of civilization and culture. And we have given to the world a message of peace, of brotherhood, of non-violence. Why should not, even in future, we should aspire to give a new idea to the world that only in amity, only in tranquility, peace, we can prosper and humanity can have a better future. Mr. Chairman, the nature of cooperation among the SAARC countries that exist today is modest and limited. Through our ongoing activities, we have certainly benefited from each other's experience and have become aware of each other's needs and potential. Some of the spectacular events organized have indeed helped in projecting the SAARC personality. However, there seems to be no direct impact of SAARC activities on the lives of the people of our countries. The low level of day-to-day interaction between our peoples persist. Indeed, in some areas we seem to be regressing. From 1980 to 87, intra-SAARC exports and imports as a percentage of SAARC global trade fell from 4.94% to 2.98% and from 2.29% to 1.39% respectively. Our limited technical and infrastructural cooperation has not made a dent in meeting the day-to-day needs and aspirations of our people. We are still faced with the anomalous situation where freight rates between Calcutta and Khulna or between Karachi and Bombay are higher than the rates between Calcutta and Singapore are between Karachi and Hong Kong. May I know, Mr. Chairman, why can't we correct it? May I request the President of Bangladesh and the Prime Minister of Pakistan. These are the areas where we can do something in order to bring about better understanding and intimate cooperation in order to change the situation in this area. These are the hard realities of life. For that we don't require anything big, but just to sit together. Mr. Chairman, I am not revealing any secret. Just now, His Excellency, the President of Bangladesh was telling me that most of the time, SAARC meetings and summits are just mere formalities. Why should we not try to take up the issues that are agitating the mind of the people in this area and try to find some solution? May I request you, Mr. Chairman, as the chairman, as the leader of the SAARC for coming year, you should introduce a new method of functioning, a new modality in dealing with the problems of this area and also organizing this summit. Mr. Chairman, a genuine impact can only be made if you cooperate in the area of production of goods and services and their exchange, which really means cooperation in trade, industry, energy, money, and finance. This has been the fundamental basic of regional economic cooperation all over the world. Only those regional groupings have succeeded which have incorporated these areas of cooperation as an integral part of their activity and made progress in them. It was understandable that in the beginning our emphasis was to undertake those activities that were designed to create confidence. But a stage has now come to launch SAARC on a more ambitious path of economic cooperation. These would open new and dynamic opportunities. Should we not do so, we may be failing in our duty to set the pace for a more rapid socio-economic transformation in this region. Cooperation among countries of the region should be forged in a manner that serves the best interests of all countries involved. The precise way in which we achieve this will be a test of our organizational capacity. We are living in times of rapid technological change. It is appropriate that SAARC should explore new areas of cooperation in high technology. With the onset of the biotechnology revolution, genetic resources are becoming high premium, crucial developmental resources. Access to genetic resources is essential for agricultural research and plant breeding programs. They are thus vital for the long-term food security of developed countries. These resources are also extremely important for medicinal purposes. Unfortunately, the genetic resources available in developing countries, including the South Asian countries, are threatened by extinction or piracy. Immediate action is therefore needed to conserve genetic resources for future development. We propose cooperation among SAARC countries in this important area. Especially, we propose an exchange of expertise in genetic conservation and maintenance of germplasm banks. We would be prepared to offer our own training facilities in this area. We also propose cooperation in cataloging of genetic resources stored and available in different SAARC countries with a view to facilitate their exchange. The group of 15 developing countries have proposed the establishment of a gene bank for developing countries. I would like to invite other SAARC countries to participate in this venture as soon as it is established. Another step that can open promising avenues for future cooperation could be the setting up of a fund for regional projects. The fund could make available credit on easy terms for the identification and development of projects and even for investment in the startup of projects in the small scale sector. We could ask the senior representatives of our national development banks to get together and consider making institutional funding available for this purpose. The precise modalities about the source of funds and the manner in which this could be related to joint venture projects could be worked out at the expert level. Mr. Chairman, I emphasize this point because nobody is going to bail us out from our difficulties. If you have to have greater progress, greater adventure, in order to make this region a region of prosperity and progress, we shall have to stand on our own. And whatever little resources at our command, we should try to pull it together in order to begin something that will be beginning of a new trust, a new confidence. Let us forget our differences. Let us start afresh, not for solving our present problem, but for looking towards a brighter future to the coming generation. It is the call of the history. And if we fail in this, Mr. Chairman, we shall not be failing at this point, but we will be failing to the coming generation of this area, the area which has been the area of glory for years, for centuries altogether. Mr. Chairman, SAARC had created a regional food security reserve. However, no member country has so far utilized this reserve. We need to review the level and the quality of the food reserve and its mode of operation and introduce such change as may be necessary to meet the needs of the member country. We have fallen a year behind in completing the studies that we had mandated at the Kathmandu summit on cooperation in the fields of trade and industry and for the prevention of environmental degradation. Problems related with environmental degradation deserve immediate attention and corrective measures should be taken promptly. These studies should be completed without further delay and blueprints for regional cooperation based on them drawn up well before the half-early meeting of the Council of Ministers. The blueprint can be adopted at the next SAARC meeting. This decision was taken in Kathmandu. And Mr. Chairman, the Prime Minister of Nepal is here. Environmental problem of Nepal affect us in a big way. So may I request through you, Mr. Chairman, the Prime Minister of Nepal, that he should devote his more energies more in saving environment there in Nepal. It is not an advice, but it is a help that I am seeking from him because on his environment depends to a great extent the environment of India. Mr. Chairman, we have long decided the regular consultation among the SAARC member countries should take place at the ministerial level in order to develop common perception and strategy on international economic and environmental issues. In the context of the rapidly changing world economic situation, the need for such consultation has become all the more necessary. We hope that the next in the series of these consultations would take place soon after this summit. We are glad that our offer to host a ministerial level meeting for the purpose has been accepted. The journey that we began 5 years ago, Mr. Chairman, had aroused much expectation. The need for regional cooperation has since become all the more imperative, and the opportunities for such cooperation much more varied. It is my fervent hope that we will not lose this opportunity to impart a fresh momentum to our cooperation under SAARC. Mr. Chairman, I know we have many problems, but we have many assets. We have thousands of years of cultural heritage that keeps us binding. It has not been so far disturbed because of difference of religious belief. It has not been disturbed by the barriers of language. Our people have remained for centuries with glory, and I hope the present may be howsoever difficult. Future is hopeful for us. Let us move forward with optimism, trust and confidence in each other and also in the inherent strength of our people, because that is going to determine the future of this area and also of the world. Thank you all.
दक्षिण एशिया में शांति और स्थिरता का उद्देश्य आपसी सहयोग, समझदारी और पड़ोसी देशों के साथ अच्छे संबंध रखकर ही पूरा किया जा सकता है। ये बात दक्षेश नेताओं ने मालदीव में दक्षेश के 5वें शिखर सम्मेलन में दोहराई। आज माले में दक्षेश शिखर सम्मेलन के समापन समारोह के बाद माले घोषणा पत्र जारी किया गया। समापन समारोह में भारत के प्रधानमंत्री श्री चंद्रशेखर ने खुशी जाहिर की कि दक्षिण शिखर सम्मेलन में मुख्य क्षेत्रों में सहयोग को और अधिक क्षेत्रों में बढ़ाने की शुरुआत हुई और महत्वपूर्ण आर्थिक क्षेत्र और पर्यावरण पर सहयोग की नींव को और मजबूत किया गया।
हम जानते हैं हमारे पास साधन कम हैं, लेकिन हम लोग आपसी सहयोग से काम करना चाहते हैं। जिस जनशक्ति के आधार पर, लोगों की ताकत पर हम लोग देश इस इलाके को बनाना चाहते हैं, इस खित्ते को, उसके लिए पाकिस्तान में हम एक नई संस्था, एक नया इंस्टीट्यूट बना रहे हैं। खेती इस इलाके का एक बड़ा सहारा है, उसके लिए ढाका में एक बड़ा काम हो रहा है। मुझे दुख के साथ और लज्जा के साथ कहना पड़ता है कि आज भी कोढ़ की बीमारी है, उसके लिए हम लोग काठमांडू में एक नया संस्थान खोल रहे हैं। हमारे पास क्या साधन थे पहले के, आज भी क्या हैं, उसके लिए दिल्ली में हम डॉक्यूमेंटेशन सेंटर खोल रहे हैं। कि पिछले 2 दिनों में हमने जो आपस में बातचीत की है, हमें ऐसा लगा कि हमारे दिलों की धड़कन एक है, हमारे मसाइल एक हैं और उन मसाइल को हल करने के लिए हमारे दिलों में जज्बात एक है। मुझे बड़े संतोष के साथ, खुशी के साथ और फ़ख्र के साथ जनाब सदर, आपके ज़रिए मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि जिन लोगों से, हमारे मित्रों से बात हुई, उसमें हमने कोई ऐसा मौका नहीं आया जिससे हम सोच सकें कि हम कोई अलग सोचते हैं। एक ही फिक्र, एक ही सोचने का तरीका, एक ही दुनिया में अमन लाने की मन में एक भरोसा, यही हम लोगों के लिए आगे के लिए प्रेरणा देगा।
दक्षिण का छठा शिखर सम्मेलन श्रीलंका में होगा। मैं शशि मेहता, मालदीव से बोल रही हूँ।